at sewityourself.com, and I am here just to briefly go over how I put together a pair of quick, easy linen pants. This is the pattern that I used in a previous video where I just made multiple pairs of pants from this one pattern, this Simplicity 7229. It's really easy, really simple, and it's really quick. I can make a pair of pants in a day and wear them that evening, which is what I did with these linen pants. This particular pattern, the Simplicity 7229, is out of print, but I found another pattern in the family of Simplicity, New Look. This pattern 6399 is very similar to the pattern. There are just a few minor changes, but overall basically it's about the same. It's just it has the slits on the side of the pant leg, and other than that everything else is pretty much the same. So you can use this as a guide on how to put together a pair of pants. Here I am just want to go over step by step what I do. I take out the pattern pieces that are needed in order for me to sew the pair of pants. I take them out and I press them, and then I lay them out on the prepared fabric. Anything with the grain line, I measure. Those little arrows on the side, I measure from that grain line to the selvage to make sure I'm getting the same number. And then I continue pinning all the way around the rest of the pattern piece. I will take every pattern piece that has a grain line on each end and I measure. After I finish laying out the patterns pieces, I will cut out the pattern based on the size that I'm using that on that cutting line. I will cut it out. From there, what you see here is I am transferring the markings. Transferring the markings means I'm just doing a little clip where the notches are. If there's a single notch, in this case there's one. In other pieces you may see 2 or 3 notches, and I will clip within the seam line as a marking there so I can attach my seams. Anything else I will transfer markings with tracing wheel, which is a solid wheel, not the serrated one, and the tissue and the tracing paper. So you will see me here, I'm marking the buttonholes so I can transfer those markings. Once I finish marking buttonholes or whatever else I can't clip, then I will remove my pattern pieces from all of the pieces that I'm going to use to put it together, fold them up, and put them back in the envelope. Then here I've stitched those buttonholes so that I can transfer those markings to the outside, because I'm going to cover them on the inside with this interfacing to give it more support, because the buttonhole is going to go there through a single layer of fabric. Because when you fold this band over, you're not going to have the buttonholes through the double layers. You're just going to have them through one. From there, I am just following along with the guide sheet, matching the seam, matching those notches with seams, and then pinning them after I match them up and sewing 5/8 of an inch all the way around, unless it tells me otherwise. From there, I'm going to press my seams. I press most of the seams to the side, and then I will come back and press them open using a tailor's ham or a seam roll. This is a seam roll for straight seams. If it's a curved seam, I'm using a ham. But in this case, most of the seams are going to be straight. I am using the seam roll to press those seams open to shape the pants as I go along. I go with my seam. Once my seams are pressed open, I will serge each one of them. I like that clean finished look. Kind of gives you the impression that it's ready to wear. So I serge my seam allowances on the inside, and then I'm ready to continue attaching the pieces as the instructions tell me. So here's just giving you an overview of what it all looks like as I've worked through the process. On this crouch seam that I've attached, and most of them tell you to come back and do a double row of stitching just to give you a little added support, so when you sit and add more stress to that seam, you'll have another seam so you're not exposing yourself in the event that you tear open the seam. As I go throughout the process to finish attaching the seams and pressing, continue that all the way through, and I make my buttonholes next. And these are just manual buttonholes because they don't need to be any particular size, just as long as they're big enough so that I can run the cord that I'm using as a drawstring through this. You'll see that I've sewn the seams together on the band, and then because I am going to run the cording through, I actually stitch down that seam so that it's not in the way when I put the drawstring through. It doesn't catch on the seam allowance. It's stitched down so I can easily just pass over it. Then from there I'm attaching the band to the pants, and I come back and I do a double row of stitching on top stitching to give it some more support. Then I've attached all of my, attached the band to the pants, and right here as I'm attaching those, I've attached it and sewn them down. I decide that I want to add pockets to my pants, so I find a pattern that has pockets on this 37. This is 3796 Simplicity, that I took the pocket out, patch pocket that I took and cut it out. It says it's cut 2, but I cut 4 because I lined the pockets, and also I cut some interfacing so that I can include that interface, and it gives it more support. It just gives it more shape. I have the fusible interfacing, but I actually pinned it to the pattern piece first and stitched around and then trimmed. I trimmed the bulk of it out, as you can see. Trim it down to what, 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than that in the curves, could be down as close as possible. And then I turn it and I press and top stitch the pocket around the entry part before I attach it to the pocket. Since I decided that I wanted pockets after I had sewn up the seam at the top and the bottom, at the top on the band and on the side, I actually had to take that loose with my not my ripper, or it's a pick. I don't really, that's not a seam ripper. I just use that as a little pick where I pick out my threads, cut those, and cut out the, cut the seam. And then I attach my pocket, place it where it belongs on the side. I just place it on the side, and wherever else it falls, you can clearly see that there was no marking there. I just placed them where I thought it should be. And then I attach the band back to the pants as I had before, and I take a pin and I attach so that I can run the cording through and just tie one end in a knot, and I run that cording, that's a piece of grosgrain ribbon that I actually took and ran it through to use as a cording. I didn't want the bulk of a cord. I just wanted something flat, and I didn't want to have to do a bias strip, so I used that. And I run it through one end of the buttonhole and came out on the other end of the buttonhole, and that's my casing, through the casing. That's what I'm going to use as a drawstring. So here I'm just ready to hem. I press up the hem with the metal ruler, which is here's a 1.5 inch deep hem. I pin it, and then I actually go through and hand sew it. And at that point, it's done. You can see how it looks completed, laid out, and I'm ready to wear. As I've thoroughly go back and press them, and I think this particular pair I wore to a ball game that summer. I just wore with a linen shirt over it. So hopefully that can help someone, and if you have any comments, please put them down in the bottom and I'll respond to those. And Maybe I can help you with if you want to get started early on a pair before I actually do a video of putting them all together. Um, you can go ahead and do that. Again, this is Thelma with SewItYourself.com, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great day. Bye.